Greetings and salutations, listeners. I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and it's a gauntlet.
Yep, it's a gauntlet time. Woo!
We discussed this during our last gauntlet, during the setup to it, because we did animation, right? And the question was posed, do we include anime? And we said at the time, why no? I think we have seen enough anime and know enough about anime that we could do an anime challenge all on its own.
As it turns out, that is a lie. Neither of us have ever seen an anime in our whole lives.
At the very least, that is what it felt like, trying to come up with, not a team, I didn't have so much problem with a team, but with challenges. And I honestly, all joking aside, think it has less to do with the challenges themselves, but more to do with the challenges actually being challenging.
Because anime is it's kind of the same level of genre as movies, because there's a lot of different genres in there. There's a lot of different types of story, and the Gauntlet being what it is, we often focus around combat or other physical, challenges like you would see in an action movie at the very least. The problem with that is there are some animes that operate on a different scale than other animes power levels.
Yeah. So we set this up a little bit different. Previous gauntlets, if you guys haven't seen a gauntlet before, oh man, fuck. The rules. We each select 4 characters, fictional characters, usually within some specific constraints to choose from. And then typically each of us select 3 rounds of a plot from a piece of media that these characters and ourselves have to run through. Any physical equipment the character has, as well as any mana or other resources, are replenished between rounds. Non-fatal injuries are automatically healed between rounds. We can't take anything gained within the rounds between us between the rounds. They all know the setup of this experiment and why they're there, but they have to get along. And, of course, we can't use a character twice unless... it hasn't happened yet, but the winners of the rounds get a token to bring back a former teammate. So far, the boy has won twice, I have won once, we drew once. So, usually, we come up with our teams, we come up with our rounds, and then we get together, and we're like, all right, this is what we got. And we usually share the rounds a little early to get our juices tingling, if not the characters as well. But this time, we came up with our team separately and then came together to try to work through the rounds. And I am not going to say that this is not part of what caused the problem, because I think it might be a small contributing factor. But the greatest part of what caused the problem are a member of each of our teams.
Because... we both have one member of our team, you because you like this character very specifically, and me because I would have felt like a fucking fraud if I did not have at least one person on my team from Dragon Ball Z. Because, let's be real, I am the age that I am. I was born in 1989, when I was the right emotional age for Dragon Ball Z to hit like a chef kiss. Dragon Ball Z was on Toonami, so,
I was the girl one, so I watched the Sailor Moon.
But, I would have felt like a fraud if I didn't have a Dragon Ball Z fighter. The problem with that is that unless you get into some other anime, which, honestly, Dragon Ball Z is kind of the only anime of that really high-end, laser fight shonen anime that I ever really got into. So they're way more powerful than the other shit that I know from Japan.
Well, and it could even be argued that most other shonen anime isn't operating on a level of Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball's a fucking joke.
At least partially. It is at least partially satire.
Right. At least it started that way. And now it's kind of its own thing, and the dancing skeletons and the b-boy wigs are part of it.
Pretty much.
Because, even considering stuff like Bleach... or, Inuyasha, or other shit that
None
has,
of it is just, Inuyasha can be high power level.
Sure.
Bleach, I think, is definitely something that high-end Bleach would be a perfectly valid challenge to Dragon Ball fighters. Here's the problem. Neither of us watch much Bleach.
No, we got a little ways into it and really liked it, but then someone dangled keys near me, and it's been 6 years since then.
Yeah.
So
That's basically what happened, yeah. So, we decided to cooperate on the rounds, partially because it seemed like a fun idea to me. And partially because I feel like, by the way, the cats are fighting, deal with it.
they are exploding.
They're wrestling. And partially because, I don't know, it's the only way we were going to get enough anime to do 6 rounds.
Yeah, I think we ended up being 3-3.
Yep.
Yeah, we did. Just because of happenstance. Just because you run out of gas in the tank and I cobbled shit together and shrugged at you and you went fine.
This might be why we started doing 3-3 in the first place. We knew our limitations.
Well, I think when we're not as limited, definitely. And I think perhaps if we had chosen not to each have a Dragon Ball Z character.
I feel like that would have made this a lot easier.
Yeah,
because
there
then
would've
one
been-
of the final round could just be a very early Dragon Ball Z villain.
Sure.
But as it stands, we had to kind of get esoteric with the challenges.
Creative. I must say, it was hard for me not to make some sort of mention or reference to Angelic Layer. Most especially because seeing the member of Dragon Ball Z, you chose playing with psychic mind toys. Just certain, I don't know, it makes me happy. The Emperor's New Groove picture of John Goodman, whose name escapes me.
Me too. For me, it was, there's no Miyazaki in either my team or my rounds, and I'm a little sad about that, but like, Studio Ghibli is its own thing, and this is not part of it.
Yeah, yeah, like, it would be a little, like,
Princess
honestly,
Mononoke is like the only thing I would have even begun to think about picking.
Sure. But this is one of those things where, like, you know, okay, well, our Western animation round, we didn't have, like, Mickey Mouse or Goofy. Like, I mean, we had Disney, products, but they were not the main cast. Because what the fuck are they going to do? It's like,
Hey, if Kingdom Hearts has told me anything, a fucking lot.
Well, okay, if you picked, like, them from specifically Kingdom Hearts, where Goofy is a shield.
And Donald is the most powerful Final Fantasy mage in history.
Anyway, fucking anime is weird, and so are video games, and here we are. Who's on your team, Chief?
My team is Yusuke Yorameshi, Spirit Detective. I specifically chose Yusuke from the end of the tournament arc and just after. Because, if I'm being perfectly honest, that's kind of where I fell off with the anime when I was a kid, and when I tried to rewatch it as an adult, I never even made it that far. As I understand it, crazy shit happens at the end, and again, like, a few seasons in, they are operating on Dragon Ball power levels, but after the Demon Tournament arc, I lost interest as a kid, and I never got back. So that's the Yusuke I'm going with.
Good.
I am going with Bakugo from My Hero Academia. As far as I've gone in the anime, I've gone a little farther in the manga, but we're doing anime.
We're not doing a manga episode.
No, we're not doing a manga episode. But as far as I've gone in the anime, which I can't go into too much detail about because it's a spoiler, White hasn't seen nearly as far.
I watch TV shows at roughly the rate of mold growing.
And I really actually do want him to watch this, so I'm going to be a little vague. Suffice it to say, he has seen the tournament, I believe.
Most of it.
The Bakugo I'm using is a little better than that. I have Batosai the Manslayer, although specifically it's Kenshin Himura from Rurouni Kenshin. Not his murdery days, his not so murdery days. Because I feel like partially because without that, this team is way too deep edgelord, and I need him to bridge the gap between everyone else and Yusuke. And then there is the 10,000-pound gorilla in this team, the best Dragon Ball Z character, fight me, Vegeta, Prince of the Saiyans.
I mean, I'm literally about to, so.
Yeah.
I think
Vegeta he has the best character arc in Dragon Ball Z. I don't think that's disputable. You might like another character more, Goku's more fun, or so on and so forth. Vegeta has the best character arc in Dragon Ball Z, and thus he is probably my favorite character.
Okay.
Who's on your team?
Well, we're going to start with my lowest hitter, which is going to be Jim Hawking from Outlaw Star. Much like you couldn't build a team without including a character from Dragon Ball, I had to include a character from Outlaw Star. And I did want to include Gene because it was too easy to pick Gene archetypes from other anime, and I needed a tech person, and I didn't want the one from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yep, that's absolutely fair. Not everyone wants to hang out with Winry. I mean,
I already had my next choice, which is Sailor Moon, which is Usagi from, like, I'm not going to name a specific point, but after she's kind of used to her shit, but is still an airhead. Not fucking...
Not the Moon Empress or whatever?
Yeah, no. I've got enough power here in my next two, which is D from Vampire Hunter D, because goddamn, if there's any book series I actually want to read, it's those.
Yeah, he's a double Dracula.
Yeah, he's only half a Dracula. But anyway.
No, he's half a Dracula in that universe. In every other universe, he's a double Dracula.
That's
I've seen what he's capable of.
Anime vampires are a little different. Yeah, and that was basically the first anime that I really, really got into other than Outlaw Star. And D's an awesome character, and he has a talking hand. And a bunch of fucking powers and horses. God damn. That's why I didn't like Geralt right away. Because I already liked Vampire Hunter D. And Geralt was just a worse one. But at least he loves his horse, so that's he got one up on D there. Anyway, my last person, my Dragon Ball character, whom I picked not because I love Dragon Ball or I felt a real hard need to have a Dragon Ball character, except for I knew the boy was going to have one.
And for balance reasons, you should.
Mm-hmm. So I grabbed my homeboy Piccolo, who I like only slightly less than King Kai. But I feel like Piccolo is in all ways more useful in that he might actually give a fuck.
Or do anything.
Side
note, the Vegeta I'm going with is Dad era Vegeta. Not quite, like, roundabout Majin Vegeta era, but not Majin Vegeta.
The Piccolo I'm going with is the one I've seen in the cartoons.
That's, I'm gonna give him, I know where we should be for them to be about equal, and he's gonna be using that version.
Whatever, I want the better Piccolo. Give me his strength. That joke didn't land at all, and I'm really proud.
I'm proud it didn't.
I don't know how we've ever had that much dead air as a reaction to a joke. You usually give me like a cursory, anyway, nothing. I'm delighted.
So the rounds.
Yes.
We've actually collaborated, like we mentioned, on these rounds, and they're a little strange.
That's okay. This is all made up, and nothing matters.
Yep.
Both within this game and in life.
So, first round.
First round is, can your team get through the Cowboy Bebop episode Mushroom Samba? Because if I didn't include the Cowboy Bebop episode Mushroom Samba, I would be a very sad person.
We never managed to fit a Trigun round in because I couldn't think of a good one, but that's about the same.
Just because any Trigun round you have, unless it's one of the ones where Vash has to be a nice person to get the job done, and those are kind of low tier enough that most of our characters could do it. Any other Trigun round involves one of the motherfuckers on our teams just going up and punching a guy.
And then the
into
round
the
is
moon.
And the round is over. But yeah, Mushroom Samba. Specifically, the rules are they have to be able to get to the plot of the episode, which is to say, get food for their ship, without causing too much destruction or mayhem, and thus bringing down bounty hunters on the head of the crew.
Yeah. Our weak asses.
Yeah, us. The people who will get wrecked. Me and him. Because technically we are on both teams.
Yeah.
But we don't come up often because we suck.
We're usually just there to provide meta-knowledge support.
Yep. So, yeah. So, we haven't actually... As much as we discussed this rounds, we didn't discuss, basically at all, how well each team would go through it in detail. So, what do you think? Does either team have a real challenge defeating the Mushroom Samba?
I think y'all get there eventually. I'm going to argue that I get there first.
I think that's fair. I have two turbo edgelords, one of whom is an edgelord, and then that edgelord's dad, the edgelord. That's one of the reasons I wanted Bakugo on my team specifically from My Hero Academia. Because he respects people who are strong enough to beat his ass. And Vegeta is. So...
I like that anime, by the way, but none of the characters have hit with me that hard that they've elaborated on much.
And that's fair. But... So they're not going to be useful. Yusuke it will be very useful. He was a street tough. He knows how to get stuff done in a quiet way. And he was like the king street tough, too.
Good.
And then, of course, Kenshin will bumble his way into getting food.
Yeah, I think Kenshin's your unlikely savior here. I feel like I've got a lot of problems because I've got one delightful idiot, one literal child who's in over his head, Piccolo, and then the guy who's just going to go to the store and get some food somehow is D.
No, Piccolo is a fucking adult.
He is an adult. He is, that's true.
He is an adult man.
Maybe Piccolo and D just go to the store to feed their idiot children.
Yeah, I think that's what happens. I think that is the story of that round. Whereas in my round, there is some serious, first off, Bakugo and Vegeta, they fight. I feel like they're both invested enough in not making a mess that they don't blow anything up. But Bakugo absolutely will have to get his dick kicked in right at the start of this to not be a mouthy bitch the rest of this time.
Here's a real question. Does anybody actually eat the fucking mushrooms?
One of them's a Saiyan. He'll eat pretty much anything.
That's true. He'll be fine, though.
Kenshin is been a beggar for years. He can't have too refined a palate. Bakugo probably won't. Yusuke probably wouldn't. So they're the grumpy boys, but... I mean, we do get the food, so whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever. And D doesn't technically need to eat. Sometimes his hand has to eat.
Well, there you go. The hand will get food. Hand food.
These mushrooms are great. So, yeah, that was a pretty easy round. But I'm sure if we saw it as an episode of an anime, it'd be really fun. If any of our 106 subscribers happen to be animators and wanted to animate that, y'all would have done it already. Round 2. I also need to mention, one of my other ideas for round 1 was the first episode of Cromartie High, which is basically a round of everybody trying to argue who was the baddest ass. Yeah.
I'm glad that's not the first round.
No, but it would have been tasty. Round 2 is an anime I really enjoyed, a slice of life called Princess Jellyfish. The short version of the challenge here is you have to get a borderline agoraphobic with high anxiety and probably Asperger's. Or it's all just under the net of autism now, isn't it? Out of the house to enjoy a day outside. That is the main character of the anime.
So, as a question...
Yeah.
Are we allowed to destroy the house?
No. This is... Because then she's not going to enjoy the day outside. It's going to be a crippling anxiety attack of a day, and then probably the next few weeks because Saiyans destroyed her home.
I had to ask.
Like, if Saiyans came and destroyed your home, would you be cool about it? Because you're not anywhere near as neurotic as this lady. Sitting there like Cleveland from Family Guy in your wall-less home, blanket tucked up under your neck. Any moment, Vegeta will come for me. He'll be back. He said so.
You will have fun, or I will destroy this city. Understood?
So we both have our rough things here.
I don't know that I do, actually.
You know what? Yeah, because you do have Dad Vegeta and
I
Batosai.
have Dad era Vegeta, who ultimately is a dad, and a pretty good one, if how Trunks turns out is anything to go by. That's not Future Trunks, that's regular one. This is the one I'm talking about. Future Trunks didn't have a dad.
About to ask about Time Cop.
Not Time Cop. I have Yusuke, who is genuinely kind of a nice guy with like a gruff exterior.
Yeah.
So he would be a dick about it, but he would make sure she had a fun time. I have Dad Samurai, Kenshin Himura, who is a good dad and is fun and funny and silly. And like, will fall over comedically for someone else's enjoyment. And literally for no, like, just for that. Like, there doesn't have to be any better reason.
So Bakugo just basically needs to be tied up.
Yeah, basically. That is Vegeta, Vegeta gets things moving and then goes and fights Bakugo somewhere where there aren't people for the rest of this round. Because the theme of this team is that Bakugo fights Vegeta every round. He's not being busy actually helping.
Right.
Because he needs to become stronger.
You have one strike against you. I don't think it's going to help me in getting there before you do. And that is that, from most people's point of view, everyone on your team is a hot guy.
That is true. Bakugo's bishiness is ruined by him being an absolute turd at all times.
I've been on the internet. It's enhanced.
Fuck, you're right. You got me. You're right. So being surrounded by Bara gentlemen would not help.
There would be some nosebleeds, I think.
But that can be fun. It's a fun.
Sure,
fun time.
it would work out. I think you would manage to pull it off. My issue is that the person most suited to this task is also the person least suited to this task, and that is because Usagi is a violent extrovert, and that is going to send fucking Tsukimi into a downward spiral of anxiety. So, my ringer is Jim. I think we make it through the round. I think it's going to take a little awkwardness because he's like 12. But I think she goes out and has a nice day. Jim is patient. He is kind. He is calm. But he is not going to be the first person to try.
No, it will be Sailor Moon.
So I would think that you would have... Yeah, fucking D. It's like... Just go outside and have a good time. I don't understand.
This isn't difficult.
I have little in the way of emotions. I do not get this anxiety.
Piccolo would be kind of bad at this because he is ultimately... He is a dad, but he is also a boomer dad.
Yes. This podcast, just with cats wrestling in the background.
It is what it is.
I know, I'm not even mad about it.
They're having a good time.
Yeah, it's really pleasant to look over and see them.
Have what sounds like a knockdown drag out. They're just sparring. They are fighting because Trixie must become stronger.
Yeah, Bakugo and Vegeta off to our left. So I think you take that one. I think you get that. I mean, it's not like a big lead.
No,
on either of us.
I feel like the first round you had pretty handedly. But I feel like this one's close. It's close. Round three,
you came up with, and I'm mad at myself for not figuring it out.
Round 3 is the longest round.
Yes.
And since non-physical, like, character development stuff stays through the rounds, we decided, I think it's the best round for my team. Not because of how well they'll do, but because of how well they'll do afterward. Round 3 is your team, including yourself, including me and you, and the whole team are set in modern-day Japan, and given a small allowance of money, not much, like, they kind of have to be frugal, and it's modern day Japan, real world Japan, where people know who Vegeta and Piccolo are. And, like, they are famous anime characters. And they have to survive a year without being discovered or having their cover blown. We are speaking, of course, about Saint Young Men. Taking the place of Jesus and Buddha.
This is why we don't know what anime is, because this is the only anime we've watched in the last, 10 years or something.
For, 7 years?
I think so.
We had an ongoing tradition every year at New Year's we watched Saint Young Men. I love this anime. Yeah. This was the first year since, 2014, actually.
The first January after the movie came out.
Yeah. That we haven't done that, and it
was a mistake.
I don't know that it was. It was good to take a break, but we'll definitely be doing it next New Year's.
Yeah. I mean, we might not do it every year anymore, but good God,
it's just a nice tradition for the family, as it were, and I love this anime, and I think it's a great round because it requires a very different kind of perseverance.
It does. I think on my team, D ends up being a wash. He looks a little freaky. but he also handles his shit.
Yeah.
I think Usagi's fine. Jim's fine.
Yeah, they just go be teenagers.
Yeah, just regular fucking people. But then there's my big green cucumber boy.
Yeah, he's gonna have a problem.
He's gonna have a problem. Now, if we're doing Saint Young Men, hopefully we can rely on a little bit of the abject unawareness of every character in that show.
Well, I mean, like, so there's the argument to be made that part of that abject unawareness is that Jesus isn't like a huge character in Japan. Except for the fact that Buddha is the other one.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and they go to Buddhist temples on several occasions.
They all just assume he's a Buddhist.
Yeah. So I think Piccolo might be able to get away with, staying inside most of the time.
Sure, that's the plan.
With the nosy landlady, and just being a very dedicated, wink wink, cosplayer.
And if someone finds him, maybe he's got a skin condition. This is a nightly face mask. Who knows? We could come up with some wacky hijinks.
I think hijinks would ensue. I think it is a challenge because you have a big green man.
You have a big
he
green
is like 6'6", and he has pink muscles on his arms. He could do really well as a very... He can honestly make a little extra scratch as like a cool Piccolo cosplayer and like Akihabara. Take pictures with folks.
Yeah, sure. That's a little risky, but it would definitely be Sailor Moon's idea.
Buddha literally went to a Buddhist temple.
He did. I think we'd manage it.
On a couple occasions.
But again, I think you've got an easier time here. And I think Bakugo is maybe the harder one.
Bakugo is the harder one because he comes from a society where he's been using his powers basically every day for tiny stuff since he was like a kid.
Yeah.
He wants to be famous. He wants to be a famous, cool hero who saves people and would not cotton well to spending a year not stopping criminals when he could. None of them have quirks. It'd be super easy. Why don't we just go stop the criminals? I think ultimately, though, this is why it's a good year. Kenshin just gets himself a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt and puts his sword away. And
sure, put a hat on Vegeta and he's basically any muscle man.
He's basically just a muscle guy. He's basically just a bodybuilder. I think this is actually why this is a good year for me, because I feel like Vegeta and Bakugo spend a lot of this time doing the dad bonding. Vegeta is the Vegeta dad, and they have fights. Now, Bakugo's physical prowess wouldn't carry over, like his getting more swole fighting Vegeta, but technique in My Hero Academia is much more about learning new ways to use your quirk than getting better.
Right.
There is the get more swole, but that's not all it is. And the character growth that would happen there, the less of a petulant child. Vegeta has a lot of experience learning how to be less of a petulant bitch. That would stick, and I feel like they would bond quite well, and I feel like if the year of bonding carries over, they would get along a lot better in subsequent rounds. And Bakugo would probably be less of a fucking liability in subsequent rounds.
Sure. Possibly. That makes sense.
I'm pre-arguing for the next round, is what I'm doing.
I see. My team is fine. They don't really need to bond much. I feel like Usagi and Jim are going to be good friends pretty quick. I feel like Piccolo will take responsibility, and I feel like D is hanging out there in the corner because I brought him along on this fucking job.
I feel like Usagi and Jim won't get along right away because she seems like the kind of person who would be you gross little brother.
Right, yeah. I mean, there would be that, but it takes one round of that. It takes the mushroom samba for... I mean, they'll still argue and snip back and forth, but only because that's fun.
Yep.
I've had siblings. I know how it works. I live with you. I know how it works. I'm going to say this one goes to you just because I have a slightly harder time.
I feel like... So, the spirit of the round involves them living in the city and taking in the sights.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I lose points because a large part of this is going to have to take place, out in the fucking woods. Bakugo and Vegeta will have to spend time away from shit to spar with anything approaching, their actual level of skill.
Sure.
So, I feel like I'm prepared to call this round a wash. I get enough out of this for in subsequent rounds that I'm perfectly prepared to call this round a wash.
I think that's a fair estimation. Poor Piccolo, who has to stay inside all day, but that's all right. You know, I'm sure he appreciates it, not having to deal with Sailor Moon all the time.
Or, you know, stay on the roof. He just hang out on the roof, meditate.
Yeah.
He meditates a lot.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to keep your inner peace and whatnot.
Yep.
Okay. So that brings us into something I don't know shit about. Round 4.
The challenge of round 4 is a very sharp contrast to the challenge of Saint Young Men. Saint Young Men lasted a whole year. It's probably the longest round we've done in the Gauntlet yet.
I think so.
It gave the characters a lot of time to get to know each other and learn to be on the same page and smooth out some of their rough edges, which is important because round 4 is only a day. They only have one day because they only need one day. But they have to survive that whole day in the One Punch Man universe with the following caveats. Saitama doesn't know where they are, but they are in his city. He knows what they look like, and he is convinced they would be a challenge. They have to live to the end of the day.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does the One Punch Man, does he kill you when he one punches you?
Usually you explode.
Okay.
Not always. Sometimes people have lived. One time a dude accidentally landed nuts first on Saitama's fist, and that guy lived. Because Saitama didn't actually punch him and felt really awkward about it, so he just let him go. He can not kill you, and that is a valid avenue.
Okay.
A valid avenue is convincing him not to fight you. But Saitama is cripplingly depressed because he's bored. He's bored because nothing is a challenge anymore. Everything's easy. There is nothing he can do that will actually cause him to have to put out effort. He's literally had fantasies and dreams that he woke up from in a cold sweat about having a fight that was worth it for once.
Does this universe not have Dark Souls?
A physical fight.
Oh, okay.
But so he's actually depressed.
Okay.
He's not meme depressed. He's like the guy who doesn't try and barely gets out of bed. And
right.
So if he starts out convinced that you might be a challenge, it's going to be hard to convince him otherwise without fighting him. But if you could convince him to like a light spar, you might be able to live. The conceit of One Punch Man is that he wins in one punch.
Right, that much I've got. Win.
All the time, forever, he wins in one punch.
That's fine.
It is literally the joke.
Right.
If that were not the case, I'm saying this now, I would be arguing very legitimately for Vegeta being able to beat his ass. Based on what he has shown the ability to do in the series so far, like, if I were taking this absolutely seriously, I would be making a very legitimate case that Majin-era Vegeta could beat his ass. Like he owed him money. But that's not the situation. Saitama isn't in Dragon Ball Z universe. They are in his universe where he wins. If it were the other way around, I would be making that fucking argument.
So I'd like to hear your rundown of your characters, because again, this is not an anime I've watched.
Okay. I feel like the reason I don't lose 2 people this round, the reason I do not lose permanently, as in they die, 2 people this round, is because of the previous round.
Okay.
Without that year to smooth out their rough edges, I feel like Bakugo immediately goes, tries to fight him, gets exploded, because, yeah, he's a teenager, and Saitama is like an alright guy. He's not going to immediately murder a kid. But, like, Bakugo is a crazy explosion factory, so he probably will eventually murder him.
Yeah.
And then Vegeta would take that as, even if without a year to bond with them, Vegeta would take you just being so much more powerful than someone like that at this stage in his development, and immediately going all out, 100% full force, and murdering them as just the worst kind of cowardly douchebag bullshit, and he would take offense to it and try and kill Saitama, and since they're in Saitama's universe, lose. The only reason I don't lose 2 people this round is because of the previous round. I feel like because of the previous round, Bakugo could be convinced to not go all out, and they might be able to convince Saitama to only have a cool, friendly spar where he doesn't murder them.
Okay.
And Vegeta could probably do it by explicitly stating, like, you know, Saitama knows anime. He knows who Vegeta is.
Okay. But there's not a Dark Souls.
There might be. He's just not a video gamer.
Okay, well, I think I could help Saitama.
Well, you could do that. Could be your strat.
I mean, fuck, I didn't even think about it.
Introduce him to Dark Souls.
Yeah, here comes Saitama.
This is Dark Souls. You learn how to dodge roll.
He's like, I'm here to fight you. And I'm like, fam, I don't know who lied to you.
Look at me.
Look at me.
I do have a challenge for you, but it's not a fight.
Yeah, my guy, have you ever played the Xbox? I'm sorry, we're in Japan. The PS4.
But yeah, I feel like, Bloodborne. Just introduce him to Bloodborne.
Just play some fucking Bloodborne, man.
But
it's a challenge.
I feel like that is the previous round is the only reason I do not go into every round after this 2 down.
My only tweak here, my only maybe, is Piccolo, and to a lesser extent D. Or maybe vice versa on that. Because they are obviously actually challenges.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Jim.
In the same way, Vegeta and Bakugo are obviously actually challenges. So is Yusuke, he just doesn't look like it. And, Kenshin just wouldn't fight him. Like, unless he was hurting one of Kenshin's friends, Kenshin just wouldn't fight him. Kenshin is also not a challenge for Saitama. I love that anime, but no.
I don't know that, like, our people know what's going on, and neither Piccolo nor D are as hot-headed as the people on your team. So, it's not like, I'm here to fight you. No, we were told that we need to not fight you. I said I'm here to fight you. Fuck it, let's fight. It's more hiding, running, not fighting the yellow bald man.
Yep. Like, he's fast. He's very fast. But Piccolo can fly.
We'll all just get on Piccolo.
He just leaves.
Fuck
he
it.
just leaves, I think.
I also got a healer.
You got a healer?
Yeah, Sailor Moon does a lot of healing.
Oh,
I don't think she can, like, quite, especially at this point, resurrect people or anything, so it's not like she's going to unexplode anyone, but if we could, like, take only collateral damage in our rampant escape, this is assuming planned Dark Souls doesn't work, she might be able to keep us topped off. I don't know. Again, I
feel like there's a very good argument to make that we lose one person each. I am all right to say that is a thing. Who do you think you would lose?
Well, here's
if you'd rather say that you think we could get through without it, I'm fine with that too. But like for balance reasons and because just statistically.
Well, you said he doesn't know who we are.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't.
Just knows what we look like.
He doesn't know where we are.
And we just practiced staying in the house.
And we just practiced for a year not getting busted.
Fucking Piccolo. What's one more day?
And really, the previous round was like it was the training montage. It was the hyperbolic time chamber for this round. The hyperbolic patience time chamber.
Yeah. Like, how dedicated is he once he's decided it's time to punch?
Not very. He's pretty lazy.
Okay, he doesn't, like, just kind of run up on you and go, I'm punching you now, and then punch you?
He's very lazy. It is one of his defining characteristics. He's very lazy.
All right, I'm turning this into a comedy episode. Fucking Usagi and me and Jim, we're going to make him some snacks. And that'll be funny. And then we'll play some Dark Souls, and God, let's hope that lasts a day. It's just a day. Worst case scenario, if I lose somebody, I think it would probably be D, just because he feels like he could take it and then would end up being wrong. Just because he's not in his universe, like you said about the other guy. In his own universe, he'd get punched apart, and then his hand would eat a bunch of crap, and then D would get better.
I mean, is that a thing he can do?
Yeah, he's done it.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
People do that.
Oh, all right. Well, fuck. Yeah, that and plus Sailor Moon. We'll just use the D. D is the decoy. You've killed our greatest warrior. Fuck. Piccolo, who is inside.
And, like, again, Saitama has beaten people without murdering them before.
Sure.
Like, he can be convinced to not murder you, but the challenge is he starts off thinking that he can go all out just this once, and you have to convince him no. Which takes humility, which is something my team struggles with.
He's like, so I'm not running around. I don't see why we'd be running around with Usagi in Sailor Moon form.
No, she just looks like a teenage girl.
Like a fucking teenage
and then a kid, and then a fat guy, and then two obvious mighty warriors.
One of them is hiding in a closet. Saitama comes in. All right, let me take my boots off. Piccolo.
Hello. But then Piccolo, having spent like a whole year indoors, might like spending a day in a universe where he can just walk around town. People just look like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's just wacky freaks in that universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we could pull it off.
I feel like my team would have a rough enough time that I'm perfectly willing to give you this round solidly, the same way I got the first round solidly.
Yeah.
But I feel like we could manage it. Because of the previous round. Again, I cannot stress that enough.
You got the second round solidly. Because of your big dad energy.
Big dad energy.
I got the first round because my team was not arguing with
That's
itself.
That's right.
Well, and it kind of fits based on what the last round of this whole shebang is. We're fully loaded. But let's see if our teams can make it through round 5. So you know how when you have a shonen anime, or really any anime that's based on a popular manga, and the writers don't write as fast as the show is made?
Sometimes the makers of the show have to put in filler arcs. Or, if it gets very, very desperate, it's time for a beach episode!
Okay. Who has the most fun, I guess?
Your team.
Yeah? Yours is too busy being edgy?
No, I feel like Yusuke and Kenshin have a good time. I feel like Vegeta has a good dad time. I feel like Bakugo does explosions through the water and has a good time. But, like, you got fucking Sailor Moon on that team, man. No one's gonna out-fun her.
Yeah. I've got D, though. He's like an anti-fun suck zone.
That's true. Now, alright, alternatively, though, the other purpose of the beach episode is fan service.
Oh, yeah.
If this is the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition of this game, who puts forth the best effort? Who is the most Bara?
I'd like for an honorable mention from D in board shorts and still his hat. But no, you got this, man. Come on. First of all, you only have one person who's underage.
It's true.
Secondly, I've seen me shirtless.
Two, Yusuke.
So, I didn't know that. So we're 2-2, I guess. But mine's a creepy green pickle man.
I've seen the internet. That enhances.
Okay. Trying to hand you this round, my guy, but
I call it. Let's call this one another wash.
Okay. So it's 2-1 at this point with 2 ties. Which brings us to our final challenge, which is the real challenge here. What do you do when you can't just pick a random fight and have us go against big fights or big complicated arcs? The other reason this was difficult, and we did forget to mention at the top of the episode, we already used Death Note.
Yeah, Death Note would have been a really, really fucking good round for this, but we already used it. My team would be fucked.
And
fucked. They would all die. Not really, because I know who the fucking killer is. So I just be like, Vegeta, his name is Light Yagami. He lives at this address. Go punch his fucking head in. Don't let him see you first. And then Vegeta, speed jacks into Light's house, busts through his wall, waves at Ryuk, and just obliterates that dude's fucking noggin.
That's something you don't see every day.
But, like, only because I'm there. And if we start off the round with Light knows that you know,
And while we're not averse to repeating rounds, if this is like only our 5th or 6th episode, like, come on.
Yeah, nah.
Not yet.
Not if we could find something else fun to do.
Yeah. So, instead, if you don't have big things for your teams to fight, make them fight each other.
And other big teams. We are going to end with the Demon Tournament from Yu Yu Hakusho. You and my team and your team effectively replace Yusuke's team for the Demon Tournament. And one other of the other teams that doesn't matter. That gets eliminated in the first round.
Yeah, because otherwise someone gets a bye, and that's me because I'm nice.
So, not only do the teams have to fight every other team in the Demon Tournament, some of whom are not fucking around and have weird gimmicks that make them hard to directly combat, but they have to fight each other. And if I'm misremembering this, it's been years. One of the chief rules of the Demon Tournament is it's team on team, one-on-one fights. So, assuming that our teams are both able to beat without losses the other teams in the Demon Tournament, and remember, it's not just, Vegeta and Piccolo fight everyone.
Right, it's the team thing. I have one question. How high is the tech level of this world?
The demon end of it is slightly better than normal.
Okay, so Jim's going to be able to
stand. Like, about anime normal.
Okay, Jim should be able to hang a little bit.
Yeah. You and I die really, really early.
Sure.
Just very early.
Well...
Now, if memory serves, and I would have to look this up, and I'm not going to, so I'm just going to say it works this way now, even if it doesn't. Your team can have one person fight multiple people. But if that person becomes injured, and then they get, if they take multiple fights and end up not being able to continue on, you're down a person.
Yeah, I was about to say, Usagi could keep me in the fight, I think, through the whole thing, but her powers would be better used elsewhere.
Yeah, as a fighter.
Yeah.
But yeah, assuming that we can beat everyone else in the tournament, including the Toguro brothers, think Brock Lesnar, and then the Elder Prince Lothric.
Yeah, I'm actually dimly aware of who they are.
Okay.
Kind of a meme.
But... And I think if we take our heavy hitter against younger Toguro, that's not... For both of us, that's not really a challenge.
No.
That's the big thing, is that Piccolo and Vegeta could kill most of the people in this tournament pretty easily. There are a couple ones who are hard to directly combat. I have an advantage there in that I'm not going to fucking sit here and explain them all to you. That's boring. But sure. I remember a fair amount of them. Not all of them.
I don't know shit, so it's fine. I'm dying early anyhow. I have no knowledge to impart. I trust you guys.
How long do you think you and I last is a central question. If we don't have to fight right away.
I'm going to hide behind D's horse.
That's fair.
That thing will go before I do. Fuck, I don't know, dude. Is it like a point system? Is there any benefit to killing me if I'm hiding behind the rock like Fat Kevin Smith? Thin Kevin Smith can hide behind a tree, is why I made a differentiation.
Yeah. I believe it is just an elimination tournament. Okay. So, it is to clear out members of your team.
Somebody's eventually going to off me,
Yeah.
So it's dependent on how many rounds we go.
Yep. So, assuming that the brackets are set up that in the final, it is my full team versus your full team, and we're both dead.
Yes.
Who wins? Who wins the head-to-head fight? Keeping in mind, this is my first point for me, Yorumeshi did literally win the Demon Tournament just like a week ago. That's why they don't need me. He has much better meta knowledge because he remembers all this shit from like last week.
Sure. I have faith
Well, it's been like a year at this point, but still.
in D and Jim being able to figure things out between the two of them. D's very canny. His hand is also very intelligent and knows a lot of shit.
And they are demons. Like, they are fighting demons, which, I mean...
That's just his fucking bag.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're monsters, not demons, but what the fuck ever. I mean, like, So assuming we get to our round, to the final with our teams, who wins? Double side bonus, what if we're still alive and you and I have to fight? Who wins? You know who wins that fight.
No one.
I don't know. I think the audience wins that fight. In like it's sad because it's funny kind of way.
That's fair. But yeah, no. Who wins? I, of course, am definitely standing for my boys. This was the round they were made for. They are the battle boys.
Well, what's the setup? Do we get to choose who fights who?
Let's say that it is, one person is selected, and then, one person steps up, and someone has to step up to accept the challenge.
Okay.
In order. Which means inevitably that Piccolo fights Vegeta, which, no offense, means I win.
Oh, no, of course. That's why Vegeta will be fighting Jim.
Oh, ho, ho! Yeah, because Vegeta would probably wait until, someone worth it steps up.
Sure.
But,
that way we can just save Jim for last.
You think, all right, Vegeta will be fighting Jim. He would not. Jim's a kid, like an actual kid. Yeah, he's not going to kill that kid.
Nope.
He's not going to kill. You don't have to, he will defeat him by, the standard Dragon Ball Z tournament rules. If you get knocked out of the ring and hit the ground, you lose.
Sure.
But he will defeat him, but he will not murder him.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
But that gives you Piccolo.
It does give me a Piccolo.
To fight whom?
I think I would ideally want to put Piccolo against Yusuke.
He is literally the second most powerful person on that team.
If not Yusuke, then...
Yusuke also will shorten Bakugo's britches throughout this experience by consistently beating his ass.
I would want... I think I'd want Usagi to go up against Bakugo.
Yeah,
I think she takes the L there, but I think it'd be close.
He's an equal opportunity fist puncher. Yeah, that's not going to slow him down.
No, it's not like a, don't hit a girl kind of thing. I just think they're on similar power level.
Yeah,
but
they are.
Very different.
They are. They're absolutely... Usagi would be a weird quirk, but she would fit in.
Yeah, she would, totally. But I want D and Batosai against one another because D's the only one who stands a chance, except Piccolo.
Who will just flatten him.
But I need Piccolo for other shit.
Yeah.
Now, the other way around, I mean, obviously you would send Vegeta against Piccolo, and then it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, the thing is, Vegeta would absolutely, He holds victory very paramount, but if my team is doing the first selection, then he wouldn't go first. Bakugo would go first, and then he would wait for someone to lose, and then the next person. And only when everyone else on the team has lost is it time for Vegeta to go, fine, I'll do it myself. But say we trade off. Let's do this as an actual tournament. Heads or tails?
Tails.
You go first. Who is your first fighter?
Okay. The first person I put forward... That's tough.
It's a strategy choice.
It is a strategy choice. I think the first person I put forward is going to be D, because he's solid middle of the pack. If I have to choose first, D's solid middle of the pack.
Okay.
He's good enough. And when I say middle of the pack, I mean Jim is highly weighted. He's just a child who knows technology. I'm sure he's got some kind of laser gun by this point, but still.
Especially by the end of the tournament.
Sure.
He will have time to make one.
Harvested from mechano demons or something. I don't know. I think she's right there. He's probably a little more powerful than Usagi at this point in her career. Way less powerful than Piccolo. At least punching. Surviving, sure. But punching, no. So, he's my solid first seed there.
I think my first would honestly be Kenshin.
Okay.
Because Kenshin would be honest with himself that of the living people remaining, he is the weakest. Because he's basically just a slightly above human. He's Captain America level superpowers. And so he would be honest with himself. He would know that, and he would probably step up first. And also because traditionally Kenshin absolutely always steps up first because he doesn't want to have to make his friends fight if he can sacrifice himself to do so first.
Sure.
Without round 3, it would have been Bakugo, but I think it's definitely Kenshin. So, actual, factual versus match, Vampire Hunter D versus Kenshin Himura. Who wins?
I would say D gets his ass kicked more than he thought he would, but he definitely wins.
I would say the same for one specific reason. Because you have written Batosai there, I am picking Kenshin.
You said Batosai while we were talking.
Yeah, because that's how I talked. But, like, if it was the Manslayer, no.
That's absolutely fair.
That battle lasts 2 seconds.
Yeah. And following along with that logic, because I've seen what happens when the man goes to his dark place.
It's, okay, fine.
But these aren't people victimizing others. These aren't monsters. This is just a fighting tournament.
And that is literally a vampire, to be fair.
Yeah.
But, like, it is... He's not got that... One of the very, very important things about the show is that Kenshin is desperately trying to not be that guy anymore.
Right.
So he's not going to go right to Garth Marenghi's dark place. So D will eventually just win.
Yeah. I don't... If knockouts are allowed, I don't think that D's going to fucking kill him.
No,
He's gonna beat him.
Knockouts are allowed, but most of the people in the Demon Tournament aren't going to knock you out.
Sure, and that's fine, but we're not those people.
No.
D's a good guy at the end of the day, mostly.
Mostly. All right. That means that it is my turn. After Batosai is defeated, Bakugo would absolutely be the next guy to step up.
Okay. D and Bakugo are on a similar level, but after a fight, I think Bakugo has the edge.
I agree. The dude makes explosions.
Sure.
That's a vampire.
Yeah. I mean...
He makes nitroglycerin explosions.
At the very least, he'd knock him out. At the very least.
And he has experience in martial arts tournaments.
Sure, that's true.
With very similar rules, to be honest.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
For the murder.
But I'm going to keep my logic there. Yeah, we would send in Usagi next. She's about even power level with him. She might be able to do something. Now, me, as the person outside of this, can look and go, I don't like her odds, necessarily speaking, but she's got a better chance without tiring out my Piccolo.
That's absolutely fair. I feel like that goes very similar to him versus Todoroki, the ice guy, in that it takes a lot of fucking effort, but Bakugo eventually wins.
Sure. I think he probably underestimates her, and that's his first mistake.
Yeah, and then it ends with him having to put forth double, triple effort, scream "die" at the top of his lungs, and blow her into the arena wall.
Okay. I have lost another. We're not putting Jim in there. Piccolo will not allow that.
No.
So, yeah, he'd head on in.
Yeah, Bakugo is not a match for fucking Piccolo.
And at this point, he's super fucking tired.
No, he's tired, and 2, no. They're not close. I think at that point, like, after that match, Vegeta would, like, nod and, like, straight up ask Piccolo if he intends to stick in there for the rest of the fight. Because if so, I want to fight you now before you get tired.
And Piccolo responds by taking off his fucking weighted shit.
Yes! So, Yusuke doesn't really even end up in the tournament.
I mean, Yusuke has to fist fight Jim, I guess.
That's just sad. Like, I'll have this debate if you want it, but Piccolo does not stand a fucking chance.
No, I know I pick second-tier Dragon Ball characters, except for King Kai, but he just doesn't.
give a fuck.
Does not give a fuck. He could turn off Vegeta, and he doesn't care.
Yeah, go away.
I think he would have left us in the first round and been like, I don't want to play this game. Goodbye.
He just goes back to his planet. But yeah, I don't think Jim Hawking can beat fucking the Prince of All Saiyans or the guy who literally won the tournament in Gauntlet.
No. Well, and that's part of the rub of this. You know, I did the standard setup that we've done going into most of these fights. I had a good power person, I had a good fighty person, I had a good tech person, and this time I brought along a healer because I had the opportunity to.
Yep.
Which that's not the only thing she does, obviously, but she's a support character. She's your paladin, basically.
Yeah, she does fight. She does fight evil by moonlight.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But, like...
She also
has healing powers, which most people don't have.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, you know, I came loaded for a different set of challenges, and then the challenges kind of had to change the way they went, and that's fine. Like, you know, I'm cool with you beating my ass for the third time.
I honestly, would you like to know why I keep winning these? I keep picking at least one OP-ass motherfucker and leaning on them for most of the combat.
I mean, you do, but like, and that's kind of the problem. That's going to be, listener, that's going to be the issue going forward and in the past, is that I'm not a huge fan of most of the OP characters. I didn't like Superman for the longest time. Like, I was one of the Superman haters just because he's fucking broken.
I mean, yeah, he is.
So goddamn boring. But he's got good character development. He's got a lot of interesting stuff.
I like Clark a lot, but, I mean, there are versions of him which aren't broken. Those are not the versions which are popular. But, like, I happen to like characters. I've happened to have a character I really genuinely like, because I don't power game going into this. If anyone's actually listening to this, you notice that we're not really fighting. That's not really how we do things around here. It's not acrimonious. We try and talk through, in a fair way, what happens. But I happen to have had someone really powerful that I can pick very genuinely. Every time.
And I thought about it.
And this time it only came up in the last round, because in every other round, Vegeta is basically just there to keep Bakugo on a leash.
I mean, honestly, if we go by scorecard, we're even.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, you won the tournament. That's what the tournament is. You know, I'm not going to sit here and fucking mince hairs. Draws are boring anyway. But in that mindset, though, looking back, and spoilers if you haven't seen the Bat Family Values episode, go back and watch it. My Batman team...
it's way more powerful than mine, I believe.
Not really. It's Tom Swain at the end of Flashpoint, Wayne Williams, Stan Lee's Batman, Jean-Paul Vallée.
Jean-Paul Vallée is pretty good.
He's pretty good. Calvin Rose is pretty good, too. Talon, that is to say. But they're up against Batman.
Yeah.
Nightwing.
Yeah.
Terry McGinnis.
Yeah.
And Oracle.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just shakes a little different.
Yep.
That's not necessarily about who's the strongest. Also, didn't I pick Wolverine once and I still lost? Like, come on. Yeah, I did. Yeah, so whatever. It's luck of the draw, and that's why this is fun and it's entertaining. We just like discussing things. We used to go to a bunch of websites that were like this, but everybody got too...
They got too serious.
Yeah, too competitive.
Guys, it's not... These are pretend. These characters aren't real. It's okay, calm down.
I mean, like, really, let's be honest with each other here. The whole, you get a token to bring back a character, who gives a fuck? There's so many characters out there.
Yeah.
The only reason these last couple rounds have been quote-unquote hard is because we put specific genre limitations on shit.
Yep.
So, we just do this to have fun, and because you guys seem to like it. So, another win in the boys' win column.
3-1 now, I believe.
3-1, and then that one draw.
But I did lose
where we were defeated by David Xanatos.
Yes, where we defeated... We lost. We lost to David Xanatos. But I did lose the Batman round, so there is that.
I mean, you might... It's like our old fighting game tournament. You might beat me in every round, but I'll take Tekken.
But I think we're all done here. This was super fun.
Yeah, it's always fun.
I like the new collaborative rounds. I think there's a lot of potential
I think we should try it again for at least 2 more times, just to give it the same stretch, to see if it actually hurts anything or not.
I like the idea. Either way, everything's better when nerds talk about it.